Yeah, we back. Yeah, we back. Now today, man, we're gonna be talking about the Minister of Foreign Affairs in Mali made an interesting statement the other day, and I think it's worth discussing. Take a look up on the screen. We cannot be in organizations that we do not control. Now, this is gonna be a nice change of pace from my last video that I just dropped in regards to the so-called puppet president in Gabon, selling his country away for billions of dollars. And in this video, we can see why the Western nations embrace certain leaders and they attack other leaders, right? You can see why they prefer to do business with certain groups of men while they condemn and they admonish and they try to isolate other groups of men, right? Now, for those of y'all that's been watching the developments, then you already know Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger have withdrawn from ECOWAS, the Economic Community of West African States, the West African bloc. A few months ago, they decided to quit the bloc altogether and create their own regional bloc named the Alliance of Sahelian States. And today we're going to examine the statements made by the Foreign Minister, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Abdoulaye Diop. He said some things that I really respected, I really enjoyed. And, let's get into it, man. Not wasting no time. Let's go back to the news back in January when they originally left ECOWAS. The article said the three governments said it was a sovereign decision to withdraw from ECOWAS. They were also founding members of the bloc, first established back in 1975. In a joint statement that was read on state broadcasters in all three countries, they said that ECOWAS had drifted from the ideals of the founding fathers and the spirit of Pan-Africanism. Now, let's fast forward and examine the statements that were made a few days ago, right? Obviously, where this quote came from, where he said, we cannot be in organizations that we do not control. Now, if you watch my video when the president of Senegal met up with the president of Mali and the president of Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traoré and Assimi Goïta, and the president of Senegal said that he wanted to negotiate and see if maybe the bloc could be reunified and the nations could come back into the fold once again. And I even told you, listen, bro, them boys ain't gonna be back in ECOWAS anytime soon unless ECOWAS comes back under the control of the black man. What did I say in that video? I said there's too many white boys in the room, bro. It's too many white boys in the room, man. That's what I said in that video. And a few days after I said that, the Mali foreign minister came out with this statement. We cannot be in organizations that we do not control. Now let's jump into the article. The Malian foreign minister Abdoulaye Diop has reaffirmed the immediate and irreversible withdrawal of his country, Niger and Burkina Faso, from the West African regional group ECOWAS, denouncing external influence and sanctions imposed by foreign powers, particularly Paris, which undermine the sovereignty of African states. Man, listen, first things first, shout out to the Mali foreign minister, Abdoulaye Diop. Talking my language, man. Real diplomat, real politician, real black man. Let's continue. In his speech, Abdoulaye Diop touched on several aspects of the withdrawal of Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso from the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, a decision taken at the end of January 2024. He firmly described the withdrawal as immediate and irreversible, adding that the breaking point had been reached between the Alliance of Sahelian States and the regional institution. His comments come just days after Senegalese President Diomaye Faye visited Mali and Burkina Faso to persuade the leaders of these countries to rejoin ECOWAS. This was despite the Senegalese president's insistence that he had not been mandated to carry out the mission by the organization or any other body. Diop was scathing in his criticism of external interference of African regional organizations. He stressed the need to transform these organizations so that they reflect the needs and concerns of the African people and so that they are led truly by African leaders. Man, listen, what I told you, I said this in my video when the Senegalese president went on those state visits to Mali, Burkina Faso. I told y'all, them boys not coming back to ECOWAS unless it's under the leadership of the black man. I told y'all that. See, great minds think alike, man. Great minds think alike. Man, I should be a diplomat when I grow up, bro. When I grow up, when I'm in my 50s and 60s, I should be a politician because, bro, I know the game. I know the game, bro. Let's continue. In particular, Minister Diop denounced the external remote control, citing Paris as an example. He cited the sanctions imposed on member countries as evidence of this interference. He said, Our countries have been punished because the remote control was in Paris or elsewhere. I don't think we can be in organizations over which we have no control. We cannot surrender part of our sovereignty to an organization and have that part of our sovereignty used as a weapon against us. Man, that's a black man talking, that's a black man talking, black man walking. Let's continue. The minister also criticized the role of central banks and the treaties of regional organizations, which he said were often used as instruments of coercion against member states. We put our money in a central bank, and tomorrow the central bank becomes a weapon that is used against you. You signed a treaty of an organization, and tomorrow that treaty is used to close your borders. We don't even use treaties because it's often a club. One or two leaders decide that we are going to close the border with Mali, and from an outside capital, someone decides that Mali should be sanctioned, and Mali is sanctioned. Woo, that boy talking, man. Black man in the building. Let's continue. Shout out to Minister Abdoulaye Diop. Got much respect for you, bro. Let's continue. Minister Diop went on to reiterate the need to preserve the sovereignty of African states and to reconsider their membership of organizations over which they have no control. He said, "We join these organizations as a sovereign state. As I said in the past, Mali and other countries, Burkina, Niger, Chad, and others, but we are the ones who created these organizations. They didn't create our countries, which are eternal countries." The minister called for a renewal of African leadership in international organizations, insisting that these groups must be led by Africans themselves. Man, that's my boy, man. That's my boy. Shout out to Minister Abdoulaye Diop. If you take a look up on the screen, as you can see in the middle, we got the president of Mali, Assimi Goïta, and all the way to the left, this was the previous Minister of Foreign Affairs of Burkina Faso. That lady, I forget her name. I believe her name was Minister Olivia, but she's no longer in the position at this current moment. And then to her right, to our right, then you got Minister Diop right there next to the president. And then to the over on the other side, you have, I believe, the Minister of Defense. And then all the way to the right, you got the spokesman and one of the members of the government of Niger all the way to the right? So, this is the Alliance of Sahelian States. You got Burkina, you got Niger, you got Mali in the building. And in this picture right here, you got the president of Niger, right, General Chiani, and then to the left, you got Minister Diop, and then to the right, you got the Prime Minister Ali Mohamed Lamine Zain, the Prime Minister of Niger, and then the spokesman of the military government of Niger all the way to the right with the blue hat. I believe his name is Colonel Amadou Abdurrahman. So yeah, man, shout out to the brothers, man. Shout out to my boys, man. And since we're on the topic of the Prime Minister of Niger, he also made a statement similar to the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Mali. Take a look up on the screen. It kind of reminds me of when Suge Knight was at the Source Awards, when he said, "Listen, any artists out there, you want to be an artist, you want to be a star, you don't want to worry about the executive producer trying to be up in the videos, all up on the records dancing, come to Death Row Records," right? So the Prime Minister of Niger, he was like, "Listen, if you want to be a sovereign nation, you want to stay sovereign, you don't want to worry about the white Frenchmen all up in your policies, all up in your internal administration, trying to influence your decisions, come to the Alliance of Sahelian States." You know what I'm saying? He did the Suge Knight on them real quick. He said, "Listen, come join the team, man. Come join the team." That's the same thing I said to the president of Senegal. If y'all watch that video, what did I say? I said, "Listen, bro, come join the team, bro. Come join the team. There's too many white boys in the room when it comes to ECOWAS. Come join the team, man. Come join the Alliance for Sahelian States." Now, obviously, you're going to have to change the name, I think so, because if other nations join, it's obviously other nations in West Africa that are not in the Sahel. So we're going to have to change the name, the Alliance of West African States. We got to change the name. But listen, come join the team, man. You want to stay sovereign. You want to be a real black man. You want to be independent for real, for real. You don't want the white man over your shoulder. Come join the team, bro. That's what we on. Let's jump into the article. The Nigerian Prime Minister Ali Mohamed Lamine Zain has asked members of ECOWAS to join the Alliance of Sahelian States, which was recently established by 3 of the regional bloc's military governments. The minister made the request during an annual meeting of the Board of Governors of the African Development Bank in Nairobi, Kenya on Wednesday, according to the quote posted on Twitter by the Nigerian government. He said, "I cannot be too provocative, but I want to ask ECOWAS to join the Alliance of Sahelian States. There are ECOWAS countries that would probably like to join the Alliance of Sahelian States, because within the AES, it is the culture of sovereignty and dignity of the continent." Man, listen, we see why. We see why the Western nations embrace certain leaders and they attack other leaders. We see why they try to discredit certain leaders and they try to promote other leaders. We understand why. We understand why the double standard is so blatant and so hypocritical. We understand the game, man. We understand what's going on, man. Let's continue. In January, The 3 former French colonies announced they were immediately withdrawing from ECOWAS over inhumane sanctions imposed on them to pressure them into restoring democratic rule after coups disposed their civilian governments. Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger accused the West African political and economic bloc of posing a threat to their sovereignty by serving as a tool for foreign powers, particularly France, with whom they have severed military ties. Now, listen, man, ain't nothing left for me to say. I agree with everything them boys said. I agree with Minister Diop and everything he said. Shout out to the Prime Minister of Niger, Ali Mohamed Lamine Zain. I agree with everything he said. For those of y'all that been following my channel, I dropped a video about him sometime, like 2 weeks ago, something like that, 3 weeks ago. Take a look up on the screen. The Prime Minister of Niger says the U.S. military are useless hypocrites. You know, so listen, he been talking this shit for a little while. You know, them boys be talking like real black men. You know, I gotta say that. I got love for the big dogs, man. Got love for the OGs, man. And before we get out of here, I'm gonna play a clip from a few days ago where the Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Mali Foreign Minister, was actually speaking on these topics that we are speaking on in this video right here. So I'm gonna end this video with those clips, and then, like I said, man, album out now. Album is out now. Got love for y'all, man. Cash App in the description. Support the platform. Support the platform, man. Peace.
As I said in the previous panel, no African country should outsource its security to foreign military. That is our responsibility, and no one will help us. We need to be mindful of the connection between certain Western powers and terrorist groups. In the Sahel, I think they are very involved in the constitution and the formation of many of the terrorist groups. I would say even some powers have the remote control, because when they decide terrorists will strike in this country, it will come. I think that one is, Mali has even a case before the Security Council against a member of the Security Council for this type of link. For the defense of our country, we need to provide our own solution. And also, the sixth lesson is we have to make sure that we are in the position to finance military expenditure based on our own resources, because this is the price of the sovereignty. The seventh lesson is to transform our regional organization and to establish mechanism whose leadership is truly African and shelter from foreign interference. We have established between Mali, Burkina, and Niger the alliance of the Sahel state. Maybe in the question, if I have time, I can develop this new dynamic to count on ourselves to have an organization which is not funded by others, where the leadership is on our own, and we are also working for the interests of our people. 8.
Spending and get it back, never gonna get attached. Got shorty spinning back, changing my number. Stacking this paper, expanding my budget. Move like a prince when I'm stepping in public. Don't run up on me, they know I'm protected. Taking my power like fucking election. Young and I'm running shit like I'm Chayori. March on my enemies like I'm immortal. March on my enemies, dance on their body. Having my baby, she wanna come ride it. Tell me she love me when I'm up inside it. Pain in my heart, I could really get violent. Pain in my heart and it's never gonna change. March on my enemies, blow out their brains. Young and I'm popping, you know how we own it. Pick up my phone when that money be calling. Pick up my phone when that money be calling. Hang up the phone if they talking retarded. Gotta get mines, you know how we started. Shooting to kill when I go for my target. Back in the building, I'm back in my bag. Know why they tripping, I know why they mad. Fuck how they feel, cause that's none of my business. Brand new Mercedes, you know how we living. Got shorty ride, she all in my Benz. Don't be surprised when that money come in. Look at lil' mama, she know she a 10. Comes to the crib and she told me come in. Stepping inside, make it rain, make it thunder. Hop on the jet, take a trip out the country. Changing my scenery, healing my pain. Can't see my face, but they know my name. Spending and get it back, never gon' get attached. Got shorty spinning back, changing my number. Stacking this paper, expanding my budget. Move like a prince when I'm stepping in public. Don't run up on me, they know I'm protected. Taking my power like fucking election. Young and I'm running shit like I'm Chayori. March on my enemies like I'm immortal. March on my enemies, dance on their body. Having my baby, she wanna come ride it. Tell me she love me when I'm up inside it. Pain in my heart, I could really get violent. Pain in my heart and it's never gonna change. March on my enemies, blow out their brains. Young and I'm popping, you know how we own it. Pick up my phone when that money be calling. Get it back. Got shorty spinning back. Stacking this paper, expanding my budget. Stepping in public. Know I'm protected. Fucking